Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Jim Valley, and I'm joined by my co-host, Scott Williams. Today, we're continuing our podcast series on what are the new changes in the latest version of the Department of Defense source selection procedures, which were issued in August of 2022. Our guest is Sal Cianci, a DAU professor of contract management, who is involved in many of DAU's learning assets related to source selection. So, Sal, thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you for having me again. It's great to be back.
Okay, Sal. So to get us started, what changes to the source selection procedures should we discuss today? Because I know there's a lot. On this segment, what do you want us to discuss?
Yes, I'd like to discuss 3 new definitions that were introduced in these revised procedures and their impacts on the technical ratings. So we got 3 new definitions. The first, let's cover the term significant strength. Per the procedures, a significant strength is an aspect of an offeror's proposal with appreciable merit or will exceed specified performance or capability requirements to the considerable advantage of the government during contract performance. Significant strength.
Wait, hold up a second here, Sal. Isn't there already a definition of strength in the procedures?
Yes, there is, Scott. You are right. However, this is a significant strength. It's a standalone term. The difference is actually 2 adjectives, appreciable and considerable. The definition of just a plain strength is an aspect of an offeror's proposal with merit or will exceed specified performance or capability requirements to the advantage of the government during contract performance. Significant strength, same one, listen for those 2 words. Significant strength is an aspect of an offeror's proposal with appreciable merit or will exceed specified performance or capability requirements to the considerable advantage of the government during contract performance.
That's interesting, Sal. Any insight as to why the DOD would want to introduce this new distinction?
Well, this is a new distinction at the DOD level, though it's a good practice that has already been around in the Army source selection. If you were to look at their source selection supplement, part of the Army FAR regulation supplement. And at times it's been voluntarily done this term by other contracting officers in DOD source selection. As I mentioned in an earlier podcast, the DOD-wide procedures considers good proven practices in the field, and they incorporate them into future updates to the procedures. So the concept itself is not new there. Just think about the FAR, or the Federal Acquisition Regulation. It gives us 2 terms, weakness and significant weakness. So this concept of a strength and a significant strength should not be too difficult for us to adopt.
All right, Sal. So they're very interesting. The key of all the source selection, the new guidance and everything else, is that you treat all the contractors fairly and the same, right? So this definition should not change, and you should treat them fairly similar, right?
Correct. And we're going to be consistent now throughout DOD. All contracting activities will use the term significant strength in their source selections.
Right. So that's the key word, is being consistent with all the contractors in that source selection. So let's go to the second definition. So we want to cover there.
The next definition is uncertainty. Uncertainty is an aspect of a non-cost price factor for which the intent of the offeror is unclear. For example, more than one way to interpret the offer or inconsistencies in the proposal, indicating they may have been an error, an omission, or a mistake. Now, Scott, before you ask again, why would DOD introduce this new term? Let me respond with a similar reason. It appears to be another good, proven practice by the Army, who has required it in their source selection procedures the last few years.
Well, Sal, it's asked and answered, so good deal. But let me ask you a different one. What are your thoughts about this new term, and How is an uncertainty different from a clarification?
Good question, Scott. It could be addressed in any of the three types of exchanges after receipt of proposals. FAR 15.3 covers these three types of exchanges. They are clarifications, communications, or discussions. As for an uncertainty, where would we address it? That really is a matter of contracting officer judgment in consultation with their legal counsel. If the uncertainty is too substantive in nature to address in clarifications, is simply factored into the initial technical evaluation rating. If discussions are conducted, though, then any uncertainties could be addressed through communications or discussions.
So, Sal, that's an interesting new term. So can you share with us the third new definition?
The third new definition is quality. Quality is the composite of material attributes, including performance features and characteristics of a production or service to satisfy a customer's given need. Quality.
Well, awesome, Sal. So now that we know the three new definitions, can you provide a quick summary of how each term is applied during evaluations?
Absolutely, Scott. The key to the definitions is knowing when to use them. First, for significant strength, there is a direct impact on the adjectival technical ratings applied. Whether or not you're using Table 2A in the procedures, which has a separate standalone technical risk rating, separate from risk, or Table 3, which combines the technical and risk ratings, you must note the descriptions for outstanding and good ratings now mention significant strength, vice only strengths. So in the previous version, the outstanding and good ratings made references to strengths. Now they make references to both significant strength and strengths. For the term uncertainties, there is an indirect impact on the technical rating tables. By that, I mean the technical ratings do not actually include the term uncertainty. However, the procedures state that the technical ratings we come up with must include consideration of any uncertainties. And for the third term, quality, that's a more broad impact. That impact is an indirect one in two different factors. First, for technical ratings, for tables 2A and 3, when you're considering the offeror's approach and understanding of the requirements, you would be applying the concept of quality or that definition. For past performance, though, this is a separate factor. When determining the quality of past performance and its corresponding rating in Table 5, the performance confidence assessments, you are considering quality of that past performance. So quality is the definition that impacts two different rating areas, technical and past performance.
All right. Thanks, Sal. That's going to be very helpful, I'm sure, for many to know, those new definitions. Those are pretty significant, I think. And as always, thank you for joining us and sharing your insight. We look forward to the next podcast in the series about what's changed in the latest revision of the DOD source selection procedures.
Thank you once again, both Jim and Scott, for this ongoing opportunity. I'm already looking forward to the next time.
All right. We're looking forward to it also. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, this is all the time we have for today. But please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Contracting Conversations channel. Type any comments you have below to include your questions for future discussions, and spread the word of this channel to your peers and to those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions, and we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.